Good morning, everyone, and super welcome to this morning seminar, expert talks provided to you by Drees and Sommer in Sweden. Me saying hello, greeting you, both all you in the room in real life here at Maria Bangata 6 and all of you out there in the virtual world in the Teams webinar meeting. My name is Karin Ståhl, having the honor of being the Managing Director for Drees and Sommer in Sweden. Why we gather today? Yes, this is a follow-up on the expert talks with the trend spotting that we presented in February earlier this year in 2024. And we, Drees and Sommer in Sweden, who are we? We are a company that's striving to unite opposites to create the world we want to live in. That's why we, the full team, sort of actually get out of bed in the mornings to perform this and give this to the world. And who are we then? We are a company founded in 1970. We are partner managed, and we have, actually the slide says a bit more than 5,000 employees. I think we should change one digit there to 6,000 employees, 60 locations worldwide. And the only thing we do every day of our work life is to provide to our clients within the different clusters, real estate, infrastructure, industry, consultancy services over to implementation of real estate buildings connecting to all these three clusters. And when we met earlier, some of you, I can't see your faces in the virtual world, but I can see your faces now in the real life world. I know that you came to us when we in February presented an expert talks about the 5 trends about sustainability for buildings and offices. And on the slide, you can see the 5 experts we had on stage then. And one of them on my left-hand side now, I will soon introduce you, Carina Söderlund. You were also there in our expert talk then. And today we will do the deep dive in the expert talk to give you improved health with outdoor work. And a few words on that is that most of us experience that nature affects us positively, both physically and mentally. This awareness is increasingly being recognized by researchers, architects, and property owners, meaning integrating nature as a natural part of our work lives, where indoor and outdoor environments meet to support and create better prerequisites in our professional lives. Our guests today have great experience of well-being at work and the great impact that nature has on us for a balanced way of living. I would like to welcome you, Carina Söderlund, Ph.D, Senior Lecturer and Researcher from Mälardalens University.
Thank you.
And you, Vibeke Stadling, Senior Change Manager, Drees and Sommer Sweden, Social Scientist and former Wellbeing Manager at Telia Company. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. A great honor to be here.
And I sort of just slide out.
Please do for a while, but you will come back.
Thank you, dears.
But now, Carina, the SOFCO project at Mälardalens University, it's been going on for a while, several years. And the aim is to kind of reveal, identify components that are really important for the future office, for a healthy and sustainable office. Could you tell us a little bit more about the project and the different sub-projects?
Yes, absolutely. It is going on for almost 4 years. So it's a 4-year-long project, and it's about sustainable offices for the future. And the project leader is Katarina Belter. And it actually started with that Katarina Belter and Professor Susanna Toivanen. They reached out to find researchers for a more multidisciplinary approach. So I actually am a researcher in innovation and design, and my specialty is in information design. And they thought it was a great need when we work with work life and when we work with sustainable offices to have a disciplinary approach, because there are complex problems that we are dealing with. So the project SOFCO have 3 different sub-projects. And one is about let's say it's about lifestyle at work. So it's about what you eat, for instance. Good to think of now when we have this morning seminar and we eat breakfast together. And it's all about movement, how to be physical, active at work and other things. Then we have also this green environment indoors and outdoors. That's the sub-project 2. And then we had a third project that is led by Susanna Lehtinen, and that's about health at and office work. And I think there is, a part of this we are a part of this life gene studies. And so I don't know really much about that last one, more than that.
But you have an excellent website where to read more about the different sub-projects, right?
Yeah, it's called, it's www.softgo.com. So, or SE actually, softgo.se.
Okay, and you're partnering with several companies there among us as well, and it's with great interest we are following the research. And what specifically are you doing in this project? What about your research?
Yes, I've collaborated a lot with Susanna Toivonen and been a part of the sub-project too. And the reason why I'm there is that I have a history in spatial design. I'm a basic training in spatial design, and I've been very interested in the visual and spatial communication of work and workplaces.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it means like when we are at work, there is a lot of information that tell us what kind of activities going on, performances that have been achieved, results that have been done in the company, and conditions. For instance, if there are alarm going on, I'm interested in how to visualize, make it visual, those kind of information. And that's a part of something called visual management. So I've been interested for that for a long time. And how to organize the space and how the workplace communicate visually and spatially with the workers. That is something that I'm very interested in. So,
and how is that correlating with your research for Softgo?
Yeah, that was the thing. Well, the outdoor office is a rather interesting new workplace. So, and I'm interested in the organization of the space and how the space could be arranged to support well-being, amongst other things, of course.
So the outside office for office worker, that's like an extra workspace. So it's an additional flexibility for the office workers, right?
Yes.
And what does your research show, your findings?
Well, I'm not a lone researcher here. So we are many of us, and that's very common when you have big research projects. We are a team that work together. So I will talk for all of us now then. Well, we have many findings when it comes to outdoor office research. For instance, we just have a Ph.D. student who have finalized her thesis, Charlotta Petersson-Troje, and there are papers that she and our colleagues have written about, for instance, let's see, what does it say? It say that people could feel some kind of easiness and mental easiness, how can I say it, ease of thinking. And they could also feel a sense of just well-being generally, and increased social interaction and communication. So that study highlights some of these things, and the study I have actually correlate with that one, and it is also connected to the qualities in the space. I thought we are at the architecture firm now, aren't we? So the spatial architecture, the green environmental architecture, if you can talk about that, or the spatial design, has certain qualities that could actually relate to well-being aspect when we are working outdoors.
Like what? Could you give us some examples of these qualities?
Yeah, well, this is a small pilot study, so we have to be careful now. We can't take too much. We can't draw any clear conclusions, but at least we have some indications. So, for instance, very simple, a space that is well-defined, a space that is easy to comprehend, a space that has a central point, a space that feels that the user experiences easy to use, safe, a space that the user perceived can support social interactions, relations, a space that could be partly enclosed by buildings. We have elements that could be that are daylighted, if you can say so. And well, there are some of the indication of qualities or dimension in the outdoor office space that could promote well-being. But we need more research, of course.
But you mentioned well-defined. What do you mean by that?
Yes, this is very interesting. When you ask people something and you have a survey and we have to dig deeper in what does it mean? How does somebody see something as well-defined? But in the theory, well-defined is that you can see what something ends and starts, for instance. You can see a zone, for instance. Here is the zone where I am, another zone, there's something other activities going on. But when you do, this is based on a survey, and when you ask questions like well-defined, well, it's up to the person who fills in the survey to actually interpret it. So that's the difficulty when doing research. When we work with language, you can't be totally aware of or understand how somebody interpreted this language.
But let's conclude. So you said that teamwork, collaboration is good for you if working outdoor. What else? Fresh air, I guess.
Yeah, what else could be if we talk about health issues? Yeah, well, there are studies, of course, and there is a lot of research studies that says that being outdoors in a green environment could actually be positive both for your well-being and also increase your health in some sense. And they are talking about maybe somewhere around 20 minutes could be enough just to get some positive effects. So it doesn't have to be long term. It doesn't have to be like you're sitting and working outdoors for hours and hours. And there are, I don't know what you...
Yeah, so you mean 20 minutes in a full work day could be enough to increase your health and well-being and productivity in many ways?
I can't say productivity,
okay.
But at least when it comes to health, if you that is relied, that statement is based on a lot of research that has nothing to do with outdoor office work, but has to do with that you are outdoors.
Okay.
So sense, yeah. Of course, if you are more outdoors or if you move more, if you exercise more, you can have more benefits.
But there must be some obstacles with being outside. I'm thinking of reflections on the computer screen, or if it's very windy or noisy in the surroundings. So have you found any hinders in your research or in general working outside as an office worker?
Yes, there, of course, as in everything, there is, of course, positive things and the more less positive things. But I could say that the minor pilot study that we did, it was actually in the end of September and beginning of October. It wasn't the pleasant days. And the people that joined, the participant, they were dressed they had gloves on and they had winter jackets on because it was rather cold. It was sometimes down to 10 degrees. And it was rather windy some days. And sometimes it rained. Well, I can just say that the comments from the participants, which we haven't published, but at least that is... what they told me is that they were surprised because they worked 30 minutes outdoors and then They were surprised that they could actually concentrate and they could really do work for that moment, even though it was not a good condition when it comes to weather. It was also in an urban area, and there were cars driving close by. There were people working on the street or close by. So there were noises and people walking around, and still they were surprised that they could actually manage the work.
But did they prefer specific tasks to perform outdoor that was easier than others?
They were allowed to choose the task themselves, so they were supposed to just take an ordinary work task that they have an ordinary day, so we didn't interrupt the work day. And that could be anything from making schedules to some people read some articles. I think someone had a meeting, and after that they also did a task that we gave them. So that was just answering some simple questions about their workplace, and then they were allowed to just really sit down and doing nothing, like they had a work break. So we had actually different kind of tasks, formalized tasks, free tasks, and also a task of not doing anything, because a workplace break is also part of work. So
yeah, sure, you need some rest and,
yes.
and recharge, of course. But that reminds me, actually, I got a question from the audience earlier when we spoke about this topic. And they said, if we want to implement some kind of outdoor work office for our employees, what about policies and work environment regulations? What should we think of? Do you have any idea?
No, I'm sorry. That's not really my field, but I'm sure you have, thinking of your great experience.
Oh, well. First of all, I think you have to do a proper risk assessment in every time you change the work conditions at the office. You have to carry out some kind of risk assessment to see, do we have any risks ahead that we need to solve. So in your case, you said you were doing this research in September, October. Maybe if you are an employer, you need to provide the office workers with some gloves or blankets or something. And I guess the work cubicle itself needs to be designed in a specific way, right?
Well, it could be good with some shelter in case it's raining cats and dogs. So yeah, and electricity is rather important.
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi also, and it works actually. I mean, the digital technology and the accessibility of electricity is starting to be so great. So that's not a big problem anymore. We also have power banks that we can bring with us in case we need more. And that is, of course, if we work with a computer. There are a lot of work tasks that we could be done outdoors. If you do office work tasks, it's not just sitting in front of a table. It's not just desktop working. It's also about reading. You can reflect. I mean, you have to reflect and think of maybe how to plan a project. You can have walk and talk meetings and coaching outside. There are many things to do.
What about collaboration? That seems a little bit hard if you need some desks or workspace, or is...
Well, it depends on what you're going to collaborate about. I mean, to build some architecture models outdoor, maybe that's not a good idea in case it blows away. But I mean, collaboration is more than we can have discussions, of course, outdoors. And I can see that you can collaborate.
Yeah, we are more used to walk and talks and being quite physical when working outside. But I know that the first pilot projects with more proper office desks outside, they were in Växjö. And that was about 2016. And to me, that's many years ago. So are employers hesitant to offer this environment, or why is the development going so slow?
Yes, well, And we talked, you and I, before, and about what does a slow mean? And I would say that 8 years, that's a rather short time.
In your world.
In my world, yeah, but also in the world of changing behavior among people. We can look at around us about when it comes to climate change. It takes a long time for people to change behavior. And first of all, they want to have, maybe they don't want to. So this has to do with many things. It has to do with implementing organizational structures so we can start to have new ways of working. It has to do with people getting interested in this kind of work. And we have to have facilities that support this kind of work. And I think that takes time. So change takes time.
Yeah. And I work as a change manager, so I know transformation, it takes a while, and you have to find your why. Why is this good to me, or does it offer any extra dimension to my well-being and my work?
Yeah.
And actually, the audience, I don't know, the audience online or the audience physically in the room, do you have any experience of outdoor work for office workers at all? But I know we have an HR person in here. And what comes to your mind about, well, regulations or policies? What do we need to think of when it comes to offering outdoor space for our office workers? Anything that comes to your mind? Yeah. Infrastructure? Safety, yeah. Yeah. So the answer is to think about the efficiency and that we're following all regulations and policies we need to, but it could be more productive, or at least it could give you some extra well-being and extra dimension working outside if you're able to perform your ordinary tasks, right? Thanks. Any other questions in the chat, or maybe in the IRL audience? Nope, not for the moment. Yes, we do have one. I don't know, do we need a microphone for that? It's easier for everyone to hear.
What is your experience regarding the sort of tasks that people can do outside? Did you feel that they are restricted by, like you mentioned, the weather? You said initially no, but I know from meetings that usually you want to share slides, you want to show something. Is that a restriction, or do you have a solution to that?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't have a solution to that at the moment, but I think there will be, and hopefully there are firms like design firms or architecture firms that start to work with these possibilities. And I think, that when it comes to working outdoors, we also accept maybe that things are a bit more simple. So then we can't, for instance, everything that we have indoors, like digital technology, it could be sensitive to both how cold it is outside, also rain. And so we can't take everything and all the technology outdoors. So we not as it looked like now. But the technology is actually developing a lot. So soon we will probably, I can't say for sure, but there are glasses going on that we could actually use instead of computers and computer screens. There are a concept called, what does it call? It's called something about, I forgot the name of it at the moment, but it has to do with that we could actually be in several realms at the same time. So there will be closer to collaborate with people that are indoors at the same time you're outdoors. We will maybe not have to have a screen between us anymore. So I think it's called cyber physical continuum. That's one concept. It has to do with that there is a continuum in space, for instance. Normally when we work outdoor, you look at your computer, for instance, or we talk to each other, but we look at the computer screen, and then that is the focus at the moment. But when you have glasses, you look directly out. So there will be a difference then. So there are a lot of technical solutions that are not solutions, but technology that is developed now that will change the way how we collaborate.
And actually, I read some research. I don't know if it was yours or some other, but approximately 75% of all work tasks you have could be performed outdoor. And I can't recall which ones that were a little bit harder, but most of the tasks are efficiently outdoor as indoor.
I would say there's something I would like to add is that we would like to reach more a group of workers, because there could be an equality when it comes to everybody can't work outdoors, not with office tasks or with other tasks that they are doing, for instance. And I would think it would be great if we could reach the industrial workers, the blue-collar workers there, and we could maybe reach hospital and nurses that works in hospitals, and they have other, I don't know how they could, how they could benefit of it. And I don't know how many of their work tasks fit of it, but I think at least, to go out, have the sun, to touch your skin and complexion, to get the benefits of that. That's very good for how you sleep, and it's being outside and get the sunbeams, especially good in countries like this when it's so dark during half of the year. So they're just being out could be enough.
So what is the next step in your research? Because as you said, you need to know more to be very precise and give us in the business good advice how to proceed with this idea.
Well, we have many ideas. It would be interesting to have, prototypes that we could test different kind of prototype of outdoor offices and see and study their benefits or disbenefits as well. And it would also be interesting to have some kind of collaboration with the business, like real estate firm and architecture firm. And I'm very interested in collaborative design and participatory design, and I work with that several.
What is that?
That is actually that you design together. You can design artifacts together, or you can design things that provoke change, for instance, to change your work culture together. So that would be very interesting to collaborate with a work group of experts and see how do we together come up with ideas how the outdoor office for the future would look like.
Yeah, that must be so important, like a kind of need inventory to ask the users what do you need, what do you want, but then maybe put an extra layer on it, because sometimes you don't know what you need.
That's true. So that's why when you collaborate together, it has to be facilitated in a good way, and that's where the expertise comes. The facilitation of this collaboration is rather important. But both include the users, but also include other stakeholders, like the one who actually could be the one who design or these spaces. So I think a combination would be great.
But do you need a new space, or is there anything we can do with the surroundings we have at hand right now, or the buildings we have, the offices we have? I mean, we can't. It's quite expensive to move or rebuild everything.
Yes, I think that. Well, I'm interested when I was reading about the previous studies when it comes to green environment and connection to well-being and health. It's a strong research base that said that we have green areas, and that is important, like green elements like trees and blue elements like water, for instance, or sky. But thinking of that there are so many people working in cities, it could be rather long distance to come to a green area. So that's why I'm interested in the public and urban space. And this is my opinion, at least. I think we could use what we have. Just going outdoors is better than nothing. And it's so easy. We have a beautiful environment, and there are research that says that even though it's always preferred green environment, well, this concrete environment could have something to offer actually when it comes to well-being, especially if there are historical buildings. Like here, there are historical buildings, and just being outdoor, take a chair, take your laptop with you, take your phone, and sit outdoors for 20 minutes.
But you talk about public spaces. Whose responsibility is it? If you, I mean, is it the society, local politicians? Is it the company itself, the employee?
Do you mean by whose responsibility is it?
To offer a good environment where you can sit and work.
Yeah, well, I think there are many responsibilities that we have to consider here. Public space is for everybody. So it's our responsibility to use it as a citizens, but that's my opinion. And it is actually the municipality and politicians who decide about how to have good public spaces. And I think also real estate firms and other firms their responsibility is to create opportunities for working outdoors. And then we have employers who employs people. They have to also responsibility to give this opportunity to their employees. So there are many actors that are important here on several levels.
But where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start when we want to make a change? Well, I think we have to start. We who are listening now can start with ourselves, but we have to work on several, how should I say, on several levels. There has to be, as we said, both the employer but employees. We have to collaborate on this one.
I know that you put together a list with recommendations how to start or what to do. But before showing that, what is your next step with your research within the SOFCO project? How do you level up?
Yeah, well, at the moment to do research, we need money. So at the moment we are applying and try to, we have applied for several calls and we'll see what happens. And the plans for SOFCO is that we hope to get a SOFCO 2. So,
and what will that include? What is your next step to find out?
Yeah, well, we are on that track now. We are working on it. So we haven't decided everything yet, but we know when Carina Belter is the project leader, she really wants to get us to continue this to SOFCO 2, but we're still working on it. So I can't say for sure yet. But about health, green environment, physical movement, nutrition, that will continue.
So do we have a question? Yes, we have.
During the pandemic, then we started a lot of initiative and very much ideas, new way of working. Yeah. We really went out and had different kind of meetings, reflections, and even if it was 40 people or 10 or 1-to-1, and that when we then came back, it slowed down so much. So I think if we go back to that period of time and take back a lot of initiative, then we can really start over again with this kind of initiatives.
Thank you. Any reflections on that, Carina? What happened? Why didn't we follow up on the experience from the pandemic with the good examples of outdoor work?
Thank you for that comment. And we could clearly show them that when we have to, we will make change. So that's just how it is. We were forced to. Some of us couldn't be. Were not allowed to be at work anymore. So we became very innovative, and we just made it work. So yes, and I'm not sure I agree that they are have gone back to zero. You didn't say that, of course, but so we shouldn't think it's gone back to zero. It has actually changed. Pandemic have changed how we look at work, and well, there are some positive things and some negative things. People want to have increased freedom. They maybe don't want to travel as much. There is a way to actually feel empowered, that you can control your work situation a bit when you're allowed to work from home. On the other hand, it could be, it affects the company cultures. It could affect how you create team building. So there is a need of more research there, how we can, work with side effects that we didn't wish for. So, but I think, well, as I've seen in the statistics I've seen, there are requirements from the employees to have more freedom to choose where to conduct work still. But we need to work harder on how to work with the culture, so we don't lose because it's something in the walls.
What do you mean by that? Something?
I mean, when we come to a place just like this where we are sitting now, there's something in the walls. It breathes the knowledge and competence, and there is a communication in a building like this. And when we meet physically, there is other things. We have other sensory experience. For instance, I can feel scent. I can touch you. We can feel each other's breath. There is a totally different kind of communication.
And working outside could offer us being more in touch with several senses.
Yeah.
Because that's what I read as well, that we have lost the connections with several of our 5 senses. So it's only orally and visually, or maybe it was hearing that we use, but like touch and smell, that is something that we have forgotten, and working outside could bring that to life again, right?
Well, yeah, we all know what the smell is, scent is, since we use perfume and so, but we're maybe not equally aware of it. But when we are outdoor and we can hear the sound of birds, or when we could smell when the autumn air is coming, that's important to be a human being.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting, but we do have a question in the chat, and I would like us to have some time to answer that.
Yeah, so we have a question from Anna here. How do company managers react to having their employees sit on the sofas and work, to now sitting on outside? How is it received and perceived?
By the leaders of the managers. I was thinking, I haven't studied that myself, and I was thinking if we have any studies that say something clear about that. Not as my recall. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that question clearly. I wish I could, but I can't.
But let me add to that all kind of change could be hard for a management or leaders, but as long as you understand what is my objectives and how do you follow up on that, it doesn't matter where you work, I would say, if it's outdoor or anywhere else, but it is like you said, it's a change of perspectives, and it takes time, right? Yeah. But let's go back to the list, or click forward and see what the conclusion is. What kind of tips you have?
Yeah. Well, I need to look at the list myself. Yes, that is like, just go out there. That's one. Don't make it too difficult. We don't have to build and organize outdoor space that is fixed there. We could actually just go out, sit on a bench and start working. And also, as we said, there are a variety of outdoor office activities that can be performed. Just take a walk and have a discussion with somebody, or sit outdoors and reflect, or wandering and solve problems. So that's one of them. And I also want to say that's another study that we have that doesn't really have explicitly to do with outdoor, but anyway, it could be good to know. We have a study that shows that for people to be more able to be work physically active and increase the physical health, it could be good that we make sure that there are a gym or a way to train that is very close to where they work. Also, they are important to have. I think this is a part of what could be outdoor, that you actually go out. So that is also just walking out is also a part of movement. So
yeah, physical activity variation.
Yeah.
And let's bring Karin to the scene and look at the last bullets, last recommendations from you, Carina.
Yes. Well, yes, I had this last recommendation as a leader or management or employee or the property manager. And the first one, which I can't see now because I don't have my glasses.
Bring them on.
I will bring them on. Well, encourage. So be brave and encourage the employees to actually try to or be allowed to work at new places and perform work differently.
And I guess it's really important to add why it's good for you. So you have to show the good aspects of changing a work position, being outside, like you've mentioned several good aspects.
Yeah. Yes, and I think we know, everybody, that there is a lot of research that it's always good to be physical and not having a static work position. We know that. So there are many benefits for actually letting people at least move around and have a walk and talk meeting.
And as an employee?
Yeah, reflect on what is work, because there are studies from this our previous PhD student made, and it's about it. People could feel some kind of guilt actually when they're working out. Maybe it doesn't feel like it's for real work, or am I sitting here doing something? Is this for real? So that is like working on your perspective of work actually could be. That is, I think it's important as an employee. So, and allow yourself to have a new perspective of that.
And as a property manager?
Yes, work for new spaces or places to actually conduct work. From the most simple ones to the more complex ones that we could have that support collaboration, or that's the simple one that just support one person work. So I think that, I hope, could be something that the property managers would work more with.
Yeah, because if you look into research once again, focus work, collaboration, and social gathering, space for social gatherings are three really important aspects you have to take into consideration when creating new space, right?
Yes. I think that's great. But then I'm also thinking of this other research result we have to actually create space where we can actually move and exercise more. For instance, an outdoor gym, I would think that would be great things to combine to an outdoor office. Because we know when it's close to somebody, we will use it. So when it's a hassle, and then we won't use it as much.
Sort of showing that the leader, the management, one of the enablers, the employees, we talk about the behavioral change and the change of mindset is sort of our own individual enabler for making this happen. And I just love that you threw in this with the property manager, just enabling new other kind of spaces. I actually have a very personal thesis that I actually developed in 2017 when I first visited this outdoor office in Växjö, meaning that I think that any employer should try to reach a 10% leased space outdoors. So if you look at your lease agreement, if you could challenge yourself to rent only 90% indoors and 10% outdoors. What do you think?
Yeah, that's excellent, because we know that we spend 80 to 90% of our time in total indoor, and we need more outdoor time. So that's excellent.
Great. And with these conclusions, we sort of wrap up this morning's expert talks. Thank you very much, Carina Söderlund, for coming to join us here. And thank you, Vibeke Stadling, to join us here. Thank you very much, as we had the possibility today then to deep dive into this outside working for health. And for sure, super many thanks for you showing up in real life at MBG6 and for you showing up in virtual life in the Teams webinar. We have one expert talk to go, and that will happen in 2 weeks' time, Tuesday morning, the same hour of the morning, so you can't miss it. Actually, the same place at MBG6 and in the Teams webinar. Then we will greet our colleague, Marco Abdallah, who will guide us through the fifth trend of this year that we have trend spotted in sustainable buildings and offices, and that will be Go Green for Resilience. So don't miss out to register. I'm glancing at my marketing manager, knowing that we have the event already up for signing. So don't hesitate. We'll meet here. And anything you want to know, either from Carina or Vibeke, you can just catch the blue sign persons in the room coming from Drees and Sommer. You know where to find us. Thank you very much for this morning, outside working for health. And yeah, just do it. We meet again in 2 weeks' time. Take care, all of you. See you. Bye-bye.